Hello everybody, welcome to Year 9 Parents Information Evening, September 2022. My name is Mrs. Towers. I'm the Assistant Head in charge of Curriculum and Assessment, and I also lead English in the school, and I'm going to be taking you through a number of different areas tonight pertaining to Year 9 and hopefully answering all of your questions and concerns about what will be happening this year. I'll be addressing curriculum and pastoral as well, and I have included lots and lots of contact details too for other people in the school if you need to get into contact with them. There is also a QR code on the front of the presentation should you wish to access it via our website. As an outline for what we're going to go through tonight, we are going to start with welcome and introductions. We are going to introduce you to the English department and key points about English this year, maths, science, our new subject specialisms, subject rotations, a brief introduction to GCSE options, some advice on parental support, attendance, and then finally addressing some questions that you had.
Welcome to our Year 9 Parent Virtual Information Event, where it is our intention to give you some further insight into core subject areas and to explain a bit more about the specialisms and option processes your son or daughter will be involved in this year. Our aim is to support your son or daughter to ensure they do as well as possible academically. They make the best option choices to study at GCSE in Year 10 and 11 for them, and they continue to participate in extracurricular activities such as this year's school production and Duke of Edinburgh, to name a few, so that not only do they develop themselves all round, but they make themselves competitive and employable for their future steps. We as a school community are very fortunate to have a supportive parent care body. The most successful students from the summer exams were those that worked consistently hard throughout over a number of years, were organised, reflected on their assessment reports, using them as a stepping stone for improvement, and so on. How well your son or daughter does this year is a result of the partnership between your child, the school, and you as parents. Working together proves the most successful way, time and time again. We have a strong pastoral system here. Should your son or daughter require any further support, they or you should seek out their form tutor in the first instance, and then the head of year assistant master after that. We have a dedicated pastoral manager in Ms. Hemming to further support students. Subject-specific help and queries should be directed to the subject teacher by your son or daughter, and then after that, the head of department. All students are taking part in the second half of their Pen Resilience programme, which teaches them skills about how to manage workload and how to manage the anxieties and stresses of workload. We had a very strong set of GCSE results this summer, with students on average making just over 2/3 of a grade more per subject compared to the national average. The significant majority of these students worked consistently hard over the years, so that learning was understood as they went along, and they purposefully used the LRC and their teachers around them. Every single student wants to do well. I've never come across one that does not. Some really simple things make a huge difference to how well they do. Attending every day, being in every minute of every lesson, being fully equipped and prepared for each lesson are all actions students can take and require no real effort or thought. But as you'll see later, they have a significant impact on outcomes. I do know with our parent-school combined support, every single one of your sons and daughters can do incredibly well. Thank you for investing the time in watching this to further support your child's education.
As you already know, Mr. McMaster is your head of year and his email address is on here if you have any concerns. Charlotte Hemming is your pastoral manager and she deals with safeguarding in Year 9 as well, and her email address is also available here should you have any issues that you would like them to deal with. Should you and your child have any concerns through the year, your form tutor can be the first port of contact for you. All of the form tutors, including their form groups and their email addresses, are on this slide, so anything you need, you can get into contact with them over email or by phoning the school.
Hello everyone, I am Miss Simpson, the Key Stage 3 Coordinator in English. In Year 9, we'll be starting to reinforce the skills that students have already learned in Year 8, but also teaching some new skills too, such as evaluation and comparative writing. We have some really exciting topics for everyone this year, starting off with a horror module, where we'll be exploring both Gothic literature and some aspects of modern horror too, so plenty of texts that students might be familiar with, and we also look at some elements from movies and that they might be familiar with as well. We then follow on from this topic with a unit called Survival, where we explore a variety of non-fiction texts and how authors capture these tense moments in their writing that reflect some of the greatest struggles they've ever had to endure. So for instance, we use Touching the Void We've used 127 hours. We look at Ernest Shackleton, some really big names in the survival world. There's a lot of different situations we explore, from the Holocaust to mountaineering to plane crashes, so there's a little bit of everything in there. There is a really vast variety of content to help broaden the students' experiences of literature, and we're hoping that everyone will enjoy the texts as much as we do. So in Year 9, students will continue with LRC lessons. The structure will remain the same as it has been for the last few years, where they will spend half an hour reading their books and then half an hour completing a bedrock lesson. Every week, teachers will be setting page targets to challenge students, but we also really want to push this drive for reading for pleasure. We have over 8,000 books in our library, and there's plenty of choice, and we're constantly getting in new ones that are suggested, recommendations from students, and just we have a wealth of different fiction and non-fiction in there, so there is really something for everyone. And Miss Bamforth, our wonderful librarian, is always there to give recommendations if students are stuck on what to look for, as well as we have a new system called Access It, which allows students to explore on their own and look at different genres they might be interested by just typing in a keyword and seeing what comes up and if there's age-appropriate texts for them there. Each term, students will be asked to complete a star reading test so that we can gauge their reading age and help them find books that are suitable for them. So that will help broaden their vocabulary and their understanding of different types of literature, and it will just help challenge them and further help them throughout all subjects. But because if they're able to engage with their reading, they should be much better off in all subjects. And then for homework, they will still be expected to complete 2 bedrock lessons and 1 hour of independent reading. But one of those bedrock lessons is done within the lesson itself. So it's really 1 bedrock lesson at home and then an hour of independent reading.
In maths, we will continue building new skills that will help to succeed in Maths GCSE course in Year 10 and 11. In numeracy, we will introduce the new concepts such as standard form, the nth term of a quadratic sequence, and we will extend the knowledge of indices, introducing negative and fractional powers. In algebra and graphs, we will dip in the use of the general formula of the straight line graphs. And for the first time, we will work with the quadratic functions. In geometry, we will develop the Pythagoras theorem, and we will discover the ratio in right-angle triangles with the new concepts of trigonometry.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Akhtar, and I'm the Key Stage 3 lead of Science. Students entering Year 9 will have the opportunity to build on the knowledge they have learned in their Year 7 and Year 8 science lessons. The topics in Year 9 will be 2 from biology, 2 topics from physics, and 2 topics from chemistry. These topics will allow students to build on the foundation knowledge that they need for their GCSE exams. The topics chosen will also allow for a smooth transition from Year 9 into Year 10. As well as covering the content and the theory, students will be able to carry out a wide range of practicals within the science lab. These practicals will help students to build on the exam knowledge that they know. As well as this, it will help to build on their working scientifically skills and group working skills.
A new feature this year is our subject specialisms. So previously, if you've got older students in the school, you might have realised that our GCSE courses have become 2 years rather than 3 years. This is a really important step for us because we feel that it broadens our curriculum and means that students have a longer amount of time to study a broader range of subjects at Key Stage 3. It also has, research has shown that it makes no impact at all on their final GCSE results, and most GCSEs are in fact designed to be taken over 2 years. Our heads of subject are very carefully planning that as well to ensure that students still have revision time at the end of their courses and that there is no detriment there at all. Year 9 is also a great opportunity to build some of those foundation skills and make sure that students have the knowledge base that they need to continue through to GCSE. Another massive advantage of this is that students are now all studying a modern foreign language until the end of Year 9. They will do one specialism from each group, and students have opted for those already and are currently studying those particular options. The aim of this is to broaden our curriculum offer, as well as to give them an understanding of a specific curriculum area before embarking on a GCSE course. But they do not have to study this particular specialism for GCSE. So if you've got to the end of the year and actually you've decided that this is not the right course for you, or you're no longer interested in this course, you'd particularly like to do something else, then that is absolutely fine. And there is no way in which anybody would be disadvantaged by not taking the specialism in year 9 if they wanted to carry that forward to GCSE in year 10. So lots of subjects are statutory according to the national curriculum, and we have to cover those subjects in school. So 3 of those subjects in particular are PSHCE, which stands for Personal, Social, Health and Citizenship Education, Computing and RS. So all of our students will take RS through to GCSE in order to cover that statutory teaching time. And we operate a rotation system through Key Stage 3. So you can see here, depending on the set that your child is in, how that rotation will look. The coverage is exactly the same for all sets. It would just depend on the time of year as to when they take that particular option. So if your student has not, for example, taken computing yet, you can see when they will be doing that over the year. Mr. McMaster is our Pen Resilience Programme Coordinator. He leads on that. And this has got a lot of research behind it and has been a very successful rotation option for us for many years at Homer Green Senior School. Mr. Zacharek coordinates Personal, Social, Health and Citizenship Education, and you can see that students will be doing that 3 times a year on the rotation. And Miss Kiss is our computing lead, and they have 2 lots of computing on that rotation too. Lots of people have been asking about GCSE options. We're actually not going to cover too much about GCSE options at this stage in the year, because we're going to invite you into school in February 2023 to introduce options properly to you and really explore those options in depth. However, students are taking their specialisms and should be using this as an opportunity to reflect on the option choices that they want to make, what they've enjoyed, perhaps what they haven't enjoyed, what they would like to take further. And really importantly, that extra time doing modern foreign languages as well should be a real consideration for them in how and whether they take those further to next year. There are various ways in which we would advise you to support your student at home. One of those is to provide a quiet place to study. So you might notice that by year 9, the amount of homework that students are getting is increasing. We do allow a week, so we asked for teachers to set it with a week's notice, that homework. Students need time for that relaxation and self-care as well, and we know for some of our students they can find it quite difficult to know when to stop working. So making sure as a parent you're monitoring that and make sure they've got plenty of time for those enrichment activities and things that they enjoy outside of school. Making a plan together for revision prior to those AP assessments, so students will get notified when those assessment points are. We will issue a content guide to tell you what they need to revise, and you can help them make a plan and get into those really good study habits before they get to GCSE. Please buy any materials required for courses, and should you have any difficulty doing that or any concerns about the cost of those, please speak to the head of subject or form tutor head of year in the first instance. Sometimes it's just students really just need you to be available and might need to just talk about their day or some of those worries that they have, or even some of those brilliant things that they've managed to do and those achievements they've made too. Please keep monitoring Satchel for us as well. So Satchel, we've had a real push on achievement points this year, so please keep an eye on those, and lots of congratulations and positive reinforcement of those achievement points, as well as hopefully minimising those behaviour points this year too. And making sure that your child is in really good routine. So for example, packing the night before, using their timetable, that's all available on Satchel as well, and just trying to keep them organised with that necessary equipment, particularly for those students that find that really difficult. Attendance is really, really important, and I've got a couple of infographics here just to show you how much attendance impacts those grades. And if you have a look at the graph there, you can see the massive dip in grades when that attendance starts to drop. So that shows you from 100% attendance to 45%. Now, obviously, it can be unrealistic to expect students to be here 100% of the time, but if you have a look over to the right, These are our results from last year, and you can see this is the progress 8 figure here in yellow that I've highlighted, and the progress 8 shows you the progress that they've made from primary school and what the expectation is. So if they made no progress from primary school and carried on in exactly the same trajectory, they would be at 0. If you get 1, it shows you that you got a grade above the expectation at the end of Key Stage 2. Now you can see here that the 3 different attendance groups. So above 90% and below 95% was 0.2 progress. So that's approximately a quarter of a grade progress from primary school. When that attendance goes above 95%, so between 95 and 100, that went up to 1.24. So it's a significant, it's a whole grade improvement on that. And then those students who are less than 90%, that dips then to negative 0.18. So actually they didn't make the progress that they needed from Key Stage 2. So we can't emphasize enough the importance of attendance. And if you have any concerns with attendance, we have the attendance officers at school, but also Mr. McMaster and Mrs. Hemming to support you with anything you need or any concerns you might have regarding attendance. So we've talked a lot about how parents can support and what the school can do to support. So just some things to remember for you as students this year. Start thinking really early about future courses and careers. It's always worth going and having a look at what you want to do at the end and thinking about those GCSE options in that. So even though we're not going to pick the options now, it's definitely worth spending the year really considering those. Reflect on which subjects you enjoy, which you're particularly passionate about and good at, because actually those are the subjects that you're going to do best at and should help you inform your next steps in terms of what you want to do beyond school. Get into really good study habits now. Keep reviewing your knowledge through the year. This year is all about building that knowledge and skill that you're going to need for GCSE. So keep going over it. It's never too late to start or too early to start revising. 100% attendance is the aim. Okay, if you attend every lesson, you will always learn more than somebody who's attending 90% of the time. So keeping that attendance as high as possible. We're not asking you to come in if you're sick, but what we're asking you to do is try to keep attending as much as you can. Never say you have no homework. There's always something you could be revising or wider reading and study that you could be completing. Please ask your subject teachers if you aren't sure. So if you think you're absolutely done, there's nothing left to do, please contact your subject teachers and they can help you. So we had some questions from parents. A few of these were about GCSE options actually. So I've hopefully got around to emailing you back, all of you back, and saying that we will address the GCSE option questions later in the year. One of them is, when will my child study computing? So I went through the slide with the rotations on it. So they have 2 half terms of computing on rotation alongside PSHE and PRP. Is there a minimum class size for option subjects? We'll actually decide that much later on. Class sizes do vary across different option subjects, and we have traditionally run some quite small class sizes to accommodate students who really, really want to do a subject. When we came to do the specialisms, actually the classes sort of naturally were quite evenly sized actually. So that is something that we deal with later in the year once we have the options in. And when we'll be finding out about GCSE options, we'll be inviting you into school for an evening to explore those options and take you through that whole process later in the year. So we hope that has given you lots of information and a good introduction to Year 9. If you've got any further questions, please email me at towerss@holmer.org.uk. I will also make sure that the presentation is available on the website, and I can send you any other answers too. So thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of your evening.